HLS, to end your
Yes.
argument for you, every person on this list, there's one thing that's in common with all of them.
What is that?
It's scripted. Wrestling is a show. It is scripted. There's a predetermined winner. It is, if you want to call it rigged, but it can't be rigged because it's a TV show. It's your boy SoSo Juv, and we are back for another week of the My 5 Cents podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is part 2 of the show. Yes, we call this the persuasion side of this, and we still have HLS in the house.
What up? What up?
We have Gary in the house.
The Rock's overrated.
Oh my gosh, we got SoSo Juv in the building. And then, of course, we have our esteemed guest, George Foreman IV.
Let's go.
Yes, let's go. So before we begin on our next segment, we're going to go ahead and do a quick recap. Gary, kick us off with your 5 cents on the topic.
I'm the only one that picked comedy as a little bit of this, which is one of the main types of it. So I'm going to go with Kenny Powers, Adonis Creed, Ricky Bobby, Sweet Pea, Maggie Fitzgerald, and the Ram Robinson from The Wrestler.
In my 5 cents, I got Matt Saracen from Friday Night Lights, Monica Wright from Love and Basketball, Damian Diamond Dame Anderson from Creed 3, Randy the Ram Robinson from The Wrestler, and Willie Beeman at number 1 from Any Given Sunday.
And my 5 cents on the topic of best TV movie athletes of the last 25 years, I got Tim Riggins from Friday Night Lights. I have Miguel from Cobra Kai. I have Monica Wright from Love and Basketball. I have Adonis Creed from the Creed series. And I have The Rock by Dwayne Johnson. So what is going to happen next, George, is we're going to get into a little cross-examination. So this allows you the opportunity to ask us some questions as you deliberate who you're going to pick. So do you have anything for us for cross-examination?
No, I kind of have a curiosity. I know we got 2 players. Matt Saracen is also near and dear to me, and Tim Riggins on 2 characters from Friday Night Lights. I wonder if maybe you guys kind of weigh in who is maybe a more meaningful character. You could have picked any character from those series, and I'd have thought, but that's 2 head-to-head. I mean, different positions. There's a lot to deliberate there. I mean, maybe give me a little bit more. Who should get the better of the list in those 2? Because you kind of also, now I think about it, you also got the Love and Basketball on both those lists too, huh? So the difference maker is going to be Friday Night Lights, I think.
Okay. You want to go first, SoSo Juv?
Sure. Tim Riggins was the heart and soul of Dillon Panther football, the embodiment of being a varsity letterman. To be his shoulder pads was built different. That just showed how unique he was. His shoulder pads was not like anybody else's shoulder pads on the show. Tim Riggins, 500% heart and soul of what a Panther is. He didn't disappear into the night like Matt Saracen, who went to art school in Chicago. No, he stayed a Panther. He was born a Panther, got arrested as a Panther, and maybe had Panther babies down in the future. But yes, right there, Tim Riggins was the embodiment of Dillon football.
Okay. It's funny. It's funny because I understand. Like, Tim Riggins was cool. Like, he was a good guy. I get it. But Matt Saracen, he wasn't the embodiment of a varsity player. He was a key role player on the team. He did whatever the team needed. You want me to be backup quarterback? I got it. You want to be star quarterback? I got it. You want to be wide receiver? I got it. Whatever you put Matt to task, he did it. On top of that, you want to talk about bagging babes? Yo, he bagged the Guatemalan. He bagged the Guatemalan.
He paid for the services. What are you talking about?
He paid for the services for his grandmother, but he bagged the Guatemalan.
What kind of show are you guys watching?
Yeah, no. Yeah, Gary, this is a technical foul.
Hey,
Yeah.
These are important details that must be considered.
Thank you, George.
That was a
Thank you.
grown, that was a
Not
grown
only
woman.
that,
Yeah.
it doesn't get any more G than bagging the coach's daughter.
Mm.
And the
And
coach
respectfully.
and respectfully, and the coach found you in bed with his daughter, and you're still on the team, and you're not dead.
Rough.
Matt Saracen.
I will say this. This is where you shot yourself in the foot in your argument.
Please.
We're going over the best TV movie athletes, and you're talking about a role player as the best movie TV athlete.
But
That you shot yourself in the foot with your own argument.
You're so good. You're so good, and it's such a key ingredient to the team.
You lost your position.
No, he's
You're the quarterback.
Wasn't he bagging groceries like Kurt Warner too? He's kind of like a nostalgia story, you know. I hear what you're saying. Like,
thank you, George. Thank you. Not only that, right? Not only that, he lost his position due to political pressure from the boosters, not because he wasn't talented. They got Voodoo Taylor in because the boosters like, yeah, we don't think Matt could do the job, but Matt was doing the job.
Yeah, but when the freshmen, and mind you, this is going to transition to Love and Basketball. What Sid said to Monica, don't ever let a freshman take your spot. And that happened in Friday Night Lights. Matt Saracen lost his spot
because of the pressure. Because of the pressure. Not because he wasn't talented. You can't say Matt Saracen.
He couldn't handle the pressure.
He was dealing with his grandmother. He was dealing with his father who had PTSD.
No, he was dealing with the Guatemalan. He was distracted. He wasn't focused.
And
whereas Tim Riggins
he was
could be in a whole affair,
he was an alcoholic.
cheat on the boyfriend, be an alcoholic, and still be all state with the baddest pads in the game.
These are the great debates that we need to be having right here.
Exactly, George.
I'm going to pivot a little bit because Gary touched on somebody who was near and dear to me, which is Kenny Powers. A lot of people don't know, but Kenny Powers is kind of like Kenny Powers, also a hometown hero. Came back to his hometown. Didn't really have the respect that maybe Tim Riggins did, but nonetheless, I think there's something to be looked at. Maybe you can talk about why you picked Kenny Powers, and elaborate a little bit more about what he really means to the sporting world, his personality, his humor, his mindset of I can do it. I'm number one. I'm a victor. And now I think about it, there's a lot of Ricky Bobby and Kenny Powers as well. Yeah. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what that mindset really means to competition and bringing that competition from a fictional character and what that can look like in real human beings who might also feel that way, that we see them all the time, the real Kenny Powers of the world. You can elaborate a little bit what that means to you.
I think, for one, they're not children, so they're actually real professional athletes. So they're not in high school and trying to date girls and go to the prom and shit. They're out there getting it for real, like as professionals. But I think, for one, sports is entertainment. So off the field, that's how these guys make their money. Endorsements, connect with their fan base, for better or worse. Floyd Mayweather, 80% of the people that watched him fight wanted to see him lose. Got like John Rocker, who's Kenny Powers, it was based off of. Most people probably would hate him, but it would put the butts in the seats. And at the end of the day, that mullet was pretty sweet, and he had a sweet jet ski. So I think the jet ski probably wins it for me alone. But I think like comedy is very important. It's a serious, I had very serious picks in there, but then a couple comedy ones to lighten it up.
Sure. Hey, these are great picks, great lists, and another thing I'm gonna bring it up, but let's kind of touch on Monica Wright. You guys could have picked a lot of athletes, but I think you both came on and landed on Monica Wright. I think she's a critical piece of sports history, even really respecting women as athletes and watching them develop and respect their career. I think that's a great pick. But you guys both have her on the list now, knowing that she was listed by two people. Would either one of you, would you like to have replaced her in hindsight, knowing that another person picked her? And if so, with who?
No. So there was a little bit of a conundrum because there's people that you kind of have as an honorable mention that I'm like, ooh, I'm not too sure of this one. So my other person would have been Maggie Fitzgerald from $1 Million Baby. So for me, the differentiating factor in making it Monica as opposed to Maggie is that the impact to the sport altogether. So at that time frame, WNBA is brand new. People are not sure whether or not it's going to take off. Is it going to fold? And I mean, look at it today. They're now expanding. Golden State now has a WNBA team, the Valkyries, that are going to start playing next year. And Monica Wright was part of the founding sisters of that program, of that show, of that league. So Monica Wright, I think, as far as impact, although Maggie Fitzgerald, her story was very, very sad, the underdog piece, and to go out like that, I definitely caught some tears off of Maggie's. But as far as global impact, Monica has a way higher impact, and I have a way better argument than what HLS was going to say.
I can't change Monica out because she played with her heart. She
Thank
played.
God.
Nope. She loved basketball as a kid. She wasn't going to be outdone by no boy. And she played with passion. It wasn't love and basketball. It was love for basketball. Her life was basketball. When she tried to get a bank job and be a straight-laced person and with heels, I can't do it. I need and I bleed basketball. And that's why she is a testament to the sport.
George, I just want you to remember this as you're voting. He did not answer your question. Totally sidetracked it.
No, I didn't.
I think he did. He wouldn't take her off. She's just saying, I understand.
Thank you, George.
I feel accommodated. Now, there's the $1 million baby. I think she's worth mentioning and taking a deeper dive in as a team. Critical piece, because it wasn't a very sad story, but also a lady who I don't believe had any fight history put on one of the best portrayals of the life of a fighter I've ever. Now I think about it, as far as just a production, it might be more impressive than Adonis being a boxer in Creed. Adonis's Creed, because she's just some lady, like I don't know what her fighting background is, and for her, I mean, and their depiction, that was raw and real. That was a real fight life, man. That might kind of like the Amanda Serrano piece of the fighting. That might be one of those hidden gems. You guys
Hilary Swank.
Hilary Swank, that's her name. Yeah.
Maggie is like the Katie Taylor of today. They both came from Ireland. Like, definitely when Katie Taylor walked out, I was like, Makushla. I remember that from the movie, Makushla.
Yeah. I think it's real life, like sports is a motherfucker, like it's going to hurt you more than it's going to, like everyone's not the champ. Everybody's gone through it. Even the top guys and girls out there have gone through the lows. And I think like a lot of them end in tragedy. So I think that, and that's just, the acting, like you said, like this is just some lady, and all of a sudden she's making you believe that she's this gritty boxer. I think Adonis did the same, but he's like a in shape young guy, like not that far of a stretch, but she was, she made you believe it. And I think like it shows the downs, like it's a tough game. It's not even a game. It's a tough, it's a fight. And like, yeah, that one's rough. Like that's one of the few movies that'll like make me tear up a little bit, like so, yeah, it's a little rough.
For sure. So HLS, did you have anything for cross-examination?
Yeah, you're number one.
Let's talk about it.
You know it was coming.
100%.
I smelled this.
What is the topic?
Best TV or movie athletes of the last 25 years.
So it's not fictional athletes.
Okay, fictional. Yes, fictional's in there. Yes.
So then they're called professional wrestlers. It's their profession. They're professional wrestlers. Are you saying wrestling is fake?
Yes. Now, here we go.
Well, the characters are
TV.
fictional. How about that? Like
the characters are
Dwayne
fictional.
Johnson portrayed The Rock.
George, thank you. Go ahead.
I don't mean to be a pick a side, but I'm just saying I took it. My mind created a place for it because he came back to the acting and dropped The Rock. He's like, no, I'm not The Rock no more. I thought that
Dwayne
was cool.
Johnson.
Dwayne Johnson being the Cobra King or whoever he was in the Mummy thing, the Mummy.
Yep.
King.
Scorpion King, but 500%. George Foreman,
Hey.
you're on the 5th level of understanding with me.
Scorpion King,
these two-
could Scorpion King have been a pick? That might be one of the most baddest dudes in all fiction.
Yes,
but that's the thing.
maybe
Fiction. That's the key word. You said
I
it,
hear
George.
what you're saying.
Fiction.
He's got an
Fiction.
HLS,
Okay.
HLS has an argument. I don't know if we have to do a coin toss. Y'all can go back and forth on this one. I understand.
I think
It's
they
your
just,
criteria, though, George. It's your criteria.
they just cross each other out, and I win.
If it's my criteria, I hear your argument is considered HLS. However, I believe that The Rock is a portrayal of Dwayne Johnson's character because Dwayne Johnson, he did some real football. You know, like he played football.
Yeah, in his real life.
In real life.
But we're talking about
Right.
fictional athletes.
HLS, to end your argument for you, every person on this list, there's one thing that's in common with all of them.
What is that?
It's scripted. Wrestling is a show. It is scripted. There's a predetermined winner. It is, if you want to call it rigged, but it can't be rigged because it's a TV show. It is a TV show. So just like soap operas are scripted, this, which became, and mind you, when The Rock came, this became the male soap opera in the 2000s. Him and Stone Cold and all of that, and everybody that, I was in college at the time while that was going on. Scripted TV show battling ratings for top spots. Just saying.
This is a video game. You have the video game aspect too, so it's kind of a video game character. Like in 30 years, you know, my son might say, "No, I'm going to be The Rock this season on my WWE career."
Which is why he's number one. Which is why he's number one.
They made the pivot to the digital.
Yeah.
So
it's
a tough sell at number one because we're not even sure if it fits the criteria.
I don't think it's that. I don't think
asterisk wise. He's Barry Bonds.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but George, it seems like it's decision time. It seems like we're at that place right now. That's what it's feeling like right now. So we want to know who is in third place. Who had the worst list?
This is a hard to pick. I'm really one. I want to give everybody a first place. So I'm gonna give my first place. My third first place, I'm gonna have to give to you, SoSo, because of the debate, the great debate.
What?
You caused too much fuss. We can't have all this
controversy.
Too much controversy. You're too controversial of a champ. You know, you can't be a great list. But you bring too much negative attention to the industry. We can't.
Oh no!
We're the NBA commissioner of the '90s. You can't come here with the baggy pants and the
Oh no!
You're like
what has
Allen
happened
Iverson.
to the My 5 Cents podcast? What has happened?
Oh man.
Yeah. So that brings me to our second place.
Nope, we don't even care about number two.
Okay.
There's no number two. Just number one.
Okay, all right. Okay. Sorry. Too much controversy. It took too long to settle to an agreement. We're going to have to push you to next season, next episode, and give you a fresh shot.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, who's number one?
Who is number one, George?
Our number one is going to have to go to Gary. He got me with the Kenny Powers. You guys don't understand how powerful Kenny Powers has been to my life. We did a TV show, I'll tell you an interesting story called Better Late Than Never. I don't know if you ever heard of it. My dad did it. He toured across the country with some of the OGs, Henry Winkler. I don't know why I'm missing the names. They'll come to me. But it's a great show. I recommended it 2 seasons. But when we came back, I was so confused about traveling the world. I went to Japan, Korea, Morocco. We went literally all over the world. But when I came back home, I kind of had like an identity crisis. Like, well, what do I do with myself now? So I went and started substitute teaching at the high school I graduated at. Started from scratch. You know, it's like, okay, pick a career, go in sub, end up getting my teacher certification. But in that process, I was watching Kenny Powers on Eastbound and Down and kind of living vicariously through this character. Like try not to make the same mistakes, keep your self-esteem, all these things that Kenny Powers is going through. So that touched me in a deep way. So he won it off the jump with Kenny Powers. It was a tough pick. You guys had a lot of great choices. It was really hard to lean away from Friday. You almost got me with the Willie Beeman and what was the movie? Not Friday Night Lights.
Any Given Sunday.
Any Given Sunday, man, that almost got me, but it was between that and Kenny Powers, so I had to give it to Gary. Gary, you got me today.
I appreciate it, and I thought Willie Beeman had me when he said that. Like,
that was a good one.
I was like, I'm like, I lost right there. Like,
interesting enough, that I don't know if you guys remember, Lawrence Taylor played himself in that movie. You know, like, so that was.
Yeah.
If you would pick Lawrence Taylor from that movie, you'd have won it. But Willie Beeman was like the obvious, like, yeah, that's a good one, a great choice. But, Lawrence Taylor, that was my character in that movie. Like, I couldn't believe that story.
Shark, yeah.
Shark, man.
Yeah. So, George, we want to know, what is your 5 cents on the topic?
Okay, all right. So okay. We'll get to that, and that's where I had to make some real decisions, especially here in y'all's list. And I will say I made that adjustment from Willie Beeman to Shark. So I'll if you're ready, I'll go for my 5.
Yeah, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Give it to us.
Number 5, Bobby Boucher, from The Waterboy.
Yeah, nice.
Just a maniac, all about smashing and hitting. That was like why I wanted to play football. I wanted to Bobby Boucher somebody, like just all out rage out and hit somebody. So that's number 1. Number 5. Number 4, there's a show I really love from Texas. So Texas football is near and dear to me. And that was a theme that rang out in a lot of this. But there's a character named Billy Bob in the movie Varsity Blues. He was a lineman who kind of had some concussions and stuff, but came through. They didn't have concussion protocol back then, obviously. So he took some damage, but ended up playing for the team. One of my best friends from high school was, if Billy Bob was a real person, he would be the Billy Bob life. It was just like the loyal friend, my offensive lineman. Like, I followed him through war. So number 4, Billy Bob, Varsity Blues. Number 3, one of my favorite movies of all time, just humor, lighthearted, Nacho Libre. He actually wrestled. He was a priest, not really a priest, like a priest assistant, but came out of the pulpit to fight for the kids. Man, I thought that he's a hero. And matter of fact, he went on to beat the legend in the lucha libre competition. Nacho Libre. That's my number 3. Number 2, this one I'm concerned about the timeline, but from Jerry Maguire, Show Me the Money, Rod Tidwell. And the speech that he made, I wanted to be a sports agent because of Jerry Maguire. And I grew up working. My first job, my first client was my dad. So I would like dress up, do the Jerry Maguire as an agent, try to rep athletes, and we give him what he's worth. And like, anyway, but it was all for Rod Tidwell. And now he gave away his whole career to manage one athlete. And that was me, like working for my dad throughout my 20s and early 30s. Like, I only had one athlete, give him all your focus, do everything you can to get him the best deals, setting up the meet and greets. Like, I was Jerry Maguire, and Rod Tidwell was George Foreman to me. And we definitely had our show me the money moments. It was like, no, like, this is a terrible deal. Get this out of my face. I've worked on it for 6 months. My dad was like, no. I understand that. And my number 1, as we mentioned, is Shark. Shark from Any Given Sunday. I love when their characters, now that I'm a grown up, and I look back and like, man, I see like these characters are giving portrayals of what life is really like on the field and in the industry. And Shark is one of those characters that did it, like some of the other guys you mentioned too. But that's my hit list, trying to be a little bit different than yours. I almost picked Hilary Swank. That was one of my early thoughts. I tried to stay away from any of the Rocky because of the timeline. I wanted to stay current. Like, in my youth, here are the people who popped up that, never even the Adonis. I mean, that's kind of really the Apollo Creed story played out. And I kind of felt like that was like my brother Monk, like his story. Like growing up and like his room was right next to my dad's trophy room. So I know he probably felt a lot of that pressure of like those belts and those things. I mean, we all did. So and he grew up now Monk's 16-0, undefeated heavyweight, has his own gym, still has an eye for the sport. So that is easier for me to let. I don't want to pick that. Everybody else is going to pick that. We'd be a little bit different, but we had that football love here, so that's my list.
Okay, that's a good list. It's a good list.
Yeah. So George, what we do is we ask the people about the topic. So we went and asked social media what they thought, and this is their 5 cents on the topic. At number 5, you had Ricky Bobby. At number 4, which I found this one to be interesting, you had Joanna Man. I guess.
Y'all about Joanna Man. I forgot.
Yeah, Joanna Man.
Hey, if Joanna Man was real today, this would be the time. You know, like this would be the time. We were just too soon. Joanna Man had the contract.
George, it was ahead of its time. Joanna Man was ahead.
Contract today would be LeBron-esque. It would be huge. The whole world would tune in to see that. So good choice.
The people have spoken. At number 3, you had Air Bud, so the dog from Air Bud there. At number 2, you had Rocky. So I don't think the people understood the assignment because that Rocky, we're talking about Rocky 5 now, and he's washed up. And
Antonio, he fought Antonio Tarver.
It's true.
It was a bad man. He may have done better than Tyson. I don't know what his age was. That's who we need to compare Tyson to Rocky 5. Like, not Rocky 1, not Rocky 2. Like, Rocky 5, 6.
And then at number 1, you had Bugs Bunny from Space Jam.
Ooh.
Okay.
Superpowers there. I guess the animated.
I feel like Space Jam was older though.
Space Jam 2.
Oh, okay, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
No one watched that.
yeah, exactly. So that's what the people had to say. I thought it was a little bit questionable, but the people have spoken.
Yeah.
What we also do is we actually go to AI. We are in the world of artificial intelligence, and we went ahead and asked AI what they thought on the topic. So HLS, what did artificial or AI, whatever we call them, what do they have to say?
Yeah, this is an interesting list. At number 5, they had Lightning McQueen from the movie Cars. Yep. And number 4,
huge star. Yeah.
Yep. They had Adonis Creed, which we all kind of said is a good one. And number 3, they had Coach Ken Reeves, played by Anthony Anderson in a TV show called Hang Time.
Oh, that is.
Yep.
That's a throwback.
Yeah. That ran from 1995 to 2000, so it just makes the cut. And number 2, this was interesting. I never watched the show, The Mindy Project. That a tennis athlete named Penny Hartz.
I'm familiar with that one.
Yep. And the number 1, Ricky Bobby from Talladega Nights.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, there you have it. I mean, I guess artificial intelligence has seen some movies we haven't seen, so I guess we should try and check them out. Because I was like, man, I have no idea.
Yeah, that's pretty weak.
God. Yeah. So here we are, George. We're at the part of the show where, do you have any projects or any social media you want to shout out? Anywhere that we can follow you?
So I'm on Twitter, well now X, and Instagram. Those are the things I use the most. George Foreman IV, and that's how you find me there if you ever want to interact or see what I'm doing or what I'm up to. I post rarely so often I'll post something intimate near to me on one of those two, but I also try to, any campaigns I'm working on, I'll share it on there, so you're welcome to follow me there. What am I working on? I have a real passion lately for in the past year I kind of reinvigorized our relationship with the Job Corps. And that's because I found through my research, my work in public policy, that there is this skills gap in workforce development that's happening in our country where you're like, okay, well, what's going on with our youth? What's going on with our communities? Well, it's because we don't really have the skills to build and rebuild and sustain them. all of our great builders and society and house and all that they've aged out. All of our best welders and plumbers and preachers and the people who really ran our society, they're becoming seniors and they're ready to retire and phase out. So it's time for the next generation to get ready. The next generation of trade skill workers, people who build communities and keep the lights on, literally. So I have a real passion for that and the policy side. And so some of the work that I'll be doing going forward will lean into that world. Outside of that, I'm just a sports fan. I'm also an insurance broker, so I'm educating people on their health insurance options and how to save well to retire the way that you need to. Too often we think about that too late. So I'm a consultant in that world as well. But that's what keeps me busy day to day. Outside of that, I'm a big time gamer and I'm a dad, so those keep me swamped. Yeah.
Very
Gotcha.
nice. What game are you playing?
And, I woke up maybe 2 weeks ago and I was watching the Denver Broncos in real life,
Yeah.
and I was really impressed with them. So I kind of got a Madden kick a few weeks
Okay.
ago. I was trying to get my Madden franchise mode. So running my team, trading for players. I didn't pick the Broncos. I ended up picking the Cleveland Browns because
Yeah.
they have the defensive ends, the defensive core that I wanted to work with. But I'm a
Nice.
big I'm an NFL crazy. Just this year, like I had a few
Yeah.
years I wasn't into it, but this year the NFL has got me.
Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. All right, so we're at the part of the show where we're going to go ahead and say goodnight to the people. And I'll start us off. People, to all my Juvs and Juvettes, sometimes this show is scripted. It's rigged. Okay. And that's how I ended up in third place. I brought too much heat to the table. And it was just too much for today. So I'll go ahead and I'll make it make sense. But good night, people. HLS, go ahead and say goodnight to the people.
George, you've been a pleasure. Although you stepped in the wrong direction, Matt Saracen was the guy. Willie Beeman was the guy. You already knew. We already knew. But good night and thank you.
Questionable behavior, I swear. Number one, and our champion for this week, Gary, please say goodnight to the people.
Good night. And in the immortal words of Kenny Powers, you're fucking out. You can beat that if you'd
And
like. My mama watches this.
no. It's cool. It's cool. We're gonna leave that all in there. That's beautiful. And George Foreman, our esteemed guest, please say goodnight to the people.
Good night, everyone. And in the words of the great Ricky Bobby, if you're not first, you're last.
Nice.